Welcome to Consumer Buying Behavior, Buying, Having, and Being. Chapter 9, Decision Making. Let's get started. Learning Objectives. 9.1. The three categories of consumer decision making are cognitive, habitual, and affective. 9.2. A cognitive purchase decision is the outcome of a series of stages that results in the selection of one product over competing options. 9.3. We often rely on rules of thumb to make decisions. And 9.4. The way information about a product choice is framed can prime a decision even when the consumer is unaware of this influence. Learning Objective 9.1. The three categories of consumer decision making are cognitive, habitual, and affective. The first learning objective in this chapter points out that consumers make decisions in different ways. Some of our decisions are highly rational. Others are made by habit, and still others are made on the basis of emotion. Consumer hyperchoice forces us to make repeated decisions that may drain psychological energy while decreasing our abilities to make smart choices. Constructive processing argues that we evaluate the effort we'll need to make a particular choice and then tailor the amount of cognitive effort we expend to get the job done. Mental budget helps us estimate what we will consume over time so that we can regulate what we do in the present. This image illustrates the three types of decision making: cognitive, habitual, and affective. A person's efforts to change or maintain his or her actions over time, whether these involve dieting, living on a budget, or training to run a marathon, involve careful planning that is a form of self-regulation. These if-then plans or implementation intentions may dictate how much weight we give to different kinds of information, emotional or cognitive, a timetable to carry out a decision, or even how we will deal with disruptive influences that might interfere with our plans, like a bossy salesperson who tries to steer us to a different choice. Counteractive construal when they exaggerate the negative aspects of behaviors that will interfere with the ultimate goal. A feedback loop is when we provide people with information about their actions in real time, and then give them a chance to change those actions so that you push them to improve. Morning morality effect shows that people are more likely to cheat, lie, or even commit fraud in the afternoon than in the morning. Executive control centers on what we use for important decision making, including moral judgments, and can be worn down or distracted even by simple tasks like memorizing numbers. For reflection, provide an example when the feedback loop was used on you. Consider purchases you made that reflect the 5 kinds of risk. Learning Objective 9.2. A cognitive purchase decision is the outcome of a series of stages that results in the selection of one product over competing options. Traditionally, consumer researchers have approached decision making from an information processing perspective. According to this view, people calmly and carefully integrate as much information as possible with what they already know about a product, weigh the pluses and minuses of each alternative, and arrive at a satisfactory decision. The economics of information perspective assumes that we collect just as much data as we need to make an informed decision. These are the 4 basic steps in the decision-making process. The next several slides provide more details on these steps. Problem recognition occurs when we experience a significant difference between the current state of affairs and some state we desire. Information search is a process by which we survey the environment for data to make a reasonable decision. In the third stage, the consumer evaluates the alternatives. And then a choice is made. The choice may be from among product choices as well as to buy or not. Consumer decision making. Figure 9.2 shows the stages in consumer decision making. This includes problem recognition, information search, evaluation of alternatives, product choice, and outcomes. Problem recognition is the first stage. It can occur when a consumer's state of being declines, which then triggers a desire to return to normalcy, or when a consumer recognizes an ideal state he or she wishes to achieve. Once we know we have a problem, we search out how we can solve it. These searches will typically take place before purchase, known as pre-purchase. However, many people just enjoy searching information and they conduct ongoing searches even if a purchase is not immediately forthcoming. Internal searches are based on our own memory banks, while external sources come from other sources. Search engines have made vast amounts of information available to us as we search out product information. We may rely on cyber mediaries to help narrow and filter the options that are available. Intelligent agents are sophisticated software programs that use collaborative filtering technologies to learn from past user behavior in order to recommend new purchases. This figure illustrates the two causes of problem recognition. The person experiences a decline in the quality of his actual state or an increase in the desire of his ideal state. This figure shows us that there is an inverted U relationship between knowledge and external search effort. People with very limited expertise may not feel they are competent to search extensively. Experts have a better sense of what information is relevant, so they engage in selective search. The alternatives a consumer knows about is the evoked set. The ones actually considered make up the consideration set. For reflection, is it a problem that consumers have too many choices? Would it be better to have less choices? How does it affect consumer decision making? Feature creep is the complexity of features that products provide. Neuromarketing uses functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, a brain scanning device that tracks blood flow as we perform mental tasks, to take an up-close look at how our brains respond to marketing messages and product design features. A cybermediary often is the answer. This term describes a website or app that helps to filter and organize online market information so that customers can identify and evaluate alternatives more efficiently. Intelligent agents are sophisticated software programs that use collaborative filtering technologies to learn from past user behavior to recommend new purchases. Search engine optimization refers to the procedures companies use to design the content of websites and posts to maximize the likelihood that their content will show up when someone searches for a relevant term. Long tail is that we no longer need to rely solely on big hits, such as blockbuster movies or best-selling books, to find profits. Figure 9.5, Levels of Categorization. In this figure, we show a superordinate level, a basic level, and a subordinate level. Strategic implementation of product categories. Position a product, identify competitors, create an exemplar product, and locate products in a store. When evaluating alternatives, consumers may focus on one or two product features while ignoring others. This helps us narrow down our options. Evaluative criteria are the dimensions we use to judge the merits of competing options. Determinant attributes are the features that we actually use to differentiate among our choices. Marketers often educate consumers about which criteria they should use as determinant attributes. Compensatory rule. Simple additive rule leads to the option with the largest number of positive attributes. Weighted additive rule allows consumers to take into account the relative importance by weighting. When we need to use more consideration before making a decision, like an extensive problem, we can categorize our decision rules into compensatory and non-compensatory. Non-compensatory decision rules suggest that a product that is low on one attribute cannot compensate for that weakness with a strength in another attribute. For reflection, Think of some of the common country of origin effects: watches, wine. Which ones affect your consumer choices? What could brands from other countries do to compete such effects? Learning objective 9.3. We often rely on rules of thumb to make routine decisions. Covariation infers hidden dimensions of products from attributes we observe. The signal communicates an underlying quality. Country of origin is often a determinate attribute in the decision-making process. Consumers think of Switzerland for precision in watches, Italy for leather goods, and France for wine. Familiar brand names can serve as a shortcut, as can higher prices, which consumers may assume suggest higher quality. Learning objective 9.4. The way information about a product choice is framed can prime a decision even when the consumer is unaware of this influence. Cognitive decision-making seeks a maximizing solution, but oftentimes consumers are happy to exert less energy for decisions in exchange for a satisfying solution. This good enough perspective on decision-making is called bounded rationality. The study of decisions is called behavioral economics. Many of these decisions illustrate the principles of mental accounting. For reflection, when have you made a high involvement decision on the basis of effect? Were you in a maximizing mode or satisficing mode? For review, the three categories of consumer decision making are cognitive, habitual, and affective. A cognitive purchase decision is the outcome of a series of stages that results in the selection of one product over competing options. We often rely on rules of thumb to make decisions. And the way information about a product choice is framed can prime a decision even when the consumer is unaware of this influence. In this chapter, we focused on 4 learning objectives. We learned the 3 categories of consumer decisions. We learned the stages in the cognitive decision-making process. Hey, thanks for watching. Please check out the other videos in this series.